June plan was basically an announcement by Mountbatten in India and Prime Minister Attlee in London, which basically said that India was going to be partitioned and that power was going to be transferred from British hands into the hands of two separate states. And once the plan was announced, what was really left was for the British Parliament to pass that as an act. And which it did in the end of June, and in mid-July that act received royal assent, and that was known as the Indian Independence Act. What it was basically a piece of legislation that detailed the exact terms of transfer of power. So for example, that Bengal and Punjab were going to be partitioned, or for example that the princely states could choose whether they wanted to go to Pakistan or India. All the Muslim majority provinces would have the right to accede to Pakistan or India. They'd be given that choice. The case of Bengal and Punjab was a particularly sensitive topic. And there are two reasons for that. The first reason was that Punjab and Bengal were the most populous Muslim majority provinces, right? And the second reason was that they were both bare Muslim majority provinces, which means that just over 50% of the population was Muslim. Which meant that if the whole province went to India, a significant part of the population would be dissatisfied. But if the whole population went to Pakistan, even then about half, more than half the population would be dissatisfied. The way in which it was decided whether Punjab and Bengal were going to be divided or not was left up to the provincial assemblies. Not surprisingly, the West Punjabi MLAs didn't want partition because they were in a majority, the Muslims were in a majority, and they wanted to go to Pakistan. The East Punjabi MLAs, however, wanted partition, and they wanted to go to India. And the rules of division were such that if either part wanted partition, then there would be partition. And the same goes for Bengal, except that it was the East Bengalis who wanted to stay in Pakistan and they didn't want to divide Bengal, whereas the West Bengalis wanted to divide Bengal. So the line of division was decided by a committee called the Boundary Commission. And there were two boundary commissions, one for Bengal and one for Punjab. And they were jointly chaired by a man called Cyril Radcliffe. Everyone who wanted to have a say was encouraged to come and present their arguments in front of the Boundary Commission as to whether they thought that their district or their area should be part of Pakistan or India. And there were two main guiding principles which would decide whether a district or an area was going to go to Pakistan or India. The two main principles were basically whether that district or tehsil was a Muslim majority tehsil or a non-Muslim majority tehsil, and secondly whether it was contiguous to other Muslim majority areas or not. These were the two main concerns. However, there were other concerns which sometimes overrode these two concerns, and one of the very important issues was that of waterhead works. One particular example that we can talk about is Firozpur, and the area of Firozpur was particularly contentious because whereas it did have a Muslim majority, it also had headworks to some of the areas which would be giving water to territories which had gone to India, such as the state of Bikaner. And there was no way that those parts of India were going to allow those headworks to come to Pakistan. So those areas were included into India by Radcliffe at the last minute, literally. So Cyril Radcliffe was he was an Oxford-educated British gentleman. He was a lawyer. And the most interesting thing about Cyril Radcliffe is that he had never stepped foot in India. So when he landed in India on, I think, the 8th of July, 1947, and he was asked to draw up, a boundary award, that was the first time he was stepping foot in India. And he knew nothing about the realities of this vast piece of land that he was supposed to be carving out. But he was aware of the fact that he had drawn a line which was, legitimately critiqued, could be legitimately critiqued. And in his defense, he said that there is no line which one can draw which would not be criticized, And a very interesting quote by Cyril Radcliffe is that as soon as he finished drawing up the award, as soon as he announced his award, he flew back to Britain, and he said he never wanted to come back to India and Pakistan. He said that there are 80 million people with grievances who are looking for me, and I don't want them to find me. So I think the general consensus in historiography is that Mountbatten was partial towards the Congress leadership. and that there were close friendships between the Mountbattens and with leaders such as Nehru and even Patel, and Jinnah was a bit of the odd one out. He was not really part of that coterie. And I mean, aside from rumors about Mountbatten's wife and Nehru, there are also instances of Nehru going along with the Mountbattens for holiday in Shimla, to which Jinnah was not invited. And also, right after Nehru delivered his first speech in the Constituent Assembly on the eve of partition, in fact at midnight, he went straight to Mountbatten's house and offered him the Governor Generalship of India, which Jinnah didn't do. Jinnah was very clear about becoming the Governor General himself of Pakistan. I think it did affect the terms on which the partition was carried out to some extent.